My friend and I went on the slingshot.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Holy shit! Holy fuck! Oh fuck!
Hello, welcome back to It's 420 Somewhere. We had an election yesterday, so we'll talk about that. Now, it was an off year, not even a midterm election, so a lot of people didn't even realize it was happening, but there was a lot of stuff that happened in terms of marijuana throughout the country, so we're gonna dive into those things, and not just marijuana, there's other stuff too. So we'll go state by state. The first big one that most people have heard of is the Virginia election. It was two new people trying to be governors, while one was an incumbent, the Democrat was an incumbent, but Northam was the governor until this new person stepped in. So this guy was governor way back when, and earlier this decade, or earlier last decade. The big deal there is that they have a brand new weed legalization bill that happened earlier this year, and caked into that bill was a slow process of rollout. It wouldn't come out until 2024, like a legal market, basically. So, depending on the stance of this governor, this process could be elongated, could be complicated, could not happen, could just become like in this limbo for a long time. And the Republican stance was that he was very opposed to it. It was a problem that he had to deal with. And then the Democrat stance was that he was all for it. So, as we all know, the Republican won that election, so there might be more of a problem for Virginia in the future when it comes to legalization, and that 2024 date is probably going to be a little trickier to get to. Next up is Ohio, which is a bit of a lukewarm kind of result. So there were 14 municipalities that were voting for decriminalization of marijuana, and of those 14, half voted in favor, half rejected the referendum. That brings the number up to, well, I think it was 22 municipalities who had decriminalized before then, and so now that would be 29 of Ohio. So the state itself is getting there just very slowly and from within. These 7 municipalities who did not vote for it, they are probably going to be in the minority pretty soon, and the state itself is probably going to get some legal marijuana because of all of this inner momentum. So that's what happened in Ohio. 7 municipalities, 7 cities voted to decriminalize weed. Then we have Colorado, which it seems the citizens of Colorado are a little annoyed by the amount of taxes they had to pay for weed, and there was a vote that would make the tax rate on weed even higher, which would then go towards funding education programs. That was voted down. Then there was another vote in Denver that would go towards research of pandemics. That tax hike for weed was also voted down. So both tax hikes were voted down in Colorado. They're probably kind of happy with the tax rate they have now and don't want it to go any higher. The education program would have been pretty nice though. In Detroit, so we're gonna get out of weed for a little bit here, but Detroit voted to decriminalize psychedelics. So they are joining a good amount of cities now across the country that have decriminalized psychedelics, and possession is okay and all of this stuff. So that's great news. I think every election from now on, we're gonna see more and more cities and or states have this on the ballot. And probably next year we're gonna see a lot. And Philadelphia, which is basically trying to nudge the rest of the state into getting legal weed, they had a referendum that doesn't really say much, but just says that the rest of the state should act upon, actually this is exactly what it says. The citizens of Philadelphia call upon the Pennsylvania General Assembly and the governor to pass legislation that will decriminalize, regulate, and tax the use and sale to adults aged 21 years or older of cannabis for non-medical purposes. Again, there's no action that's being taken there. There are a bunch of bills in Pennsylvania that are already kind of swimming around, but nothing with a consensus. And this referendum, which was passed in Philadelphia by 73% of the voters, will hopefully give them a bit of a momentum push, because because right now they don't have much. So that's really all they're trying to do with that. And that is all of the news that happened across the country with weed. Not a whole bunch, but some good and some bad. So I guess we'll look to next year for some more weed news. I assume there's going to be a lot more because there's going to be a much higher turnout with a midterm election. And that's all for today. We'll be back on Friday with more news. We'll see you then.
I gotta land this trick!